Hey there, instructional designers. Rachel Howard here to talk to you a little bit about gamification and learning. You might be asking, what is gamification? It's basically using game elements and principles in a non-game scenario. Today's population is no longer a group of passive learners. Sure, using games can be fun, right? However, studies show that adding games can support some basic theories of instructional design and help your students improve the scores and satisfaction in a class. Self-determination theory is based on a learner tackling a lesson on their own. They usually get the best results when autonomy, a self-governing style of lesson where the student is in control, competence, the lesson allows them to succeed on their own, and relatedness, a feeling of connection to the material and a learning community, even if it's in a competition setting, is used. Gaming can provide all of these needs, even with difficult subjects. Motivation can also be encouraged in students when a learner believes they can succeed in mastering a task like a puzzle or a level. They are motivated when they anticipate and experience satisfying outcomes related to learning a task, like badges or awards. And they can be motivated when they are able to use volition or self-regulatory learning strategies to go at their own pace. Now, let's look at some examples of both good and bad uses of gamification in learning. First, let's start with the bad. Professor Michael Cripps at the University of New England tried setting up a very elaborate gaming point system for his students. He created rules, badges, playing cards, and essentially an immense amount of work was put into his idea. But when he used it in the classroom, most of it failed to motivate, and he ended up having to drop most of the concepts before the end of the semester. So what went wrong? Here's just a few things that might explain why his setup didn't work. First, the game was too complicated. Students couldn't keep track of all the different badges, levels, and points involved. He lost their attention when it got too convoluted. Second, many of the awards were for work that was already mandatory. Nobody feels like they're really earning an award for doing the bare minimum. Finally, the way the game had been set up, if the students failed at something early on, there was no way for them to catch up. Who would want to keep playing a game that you already know you can't win? Now here's an example of good integration and gamification. Triceum has created a full-scale video game called Variant Limits, set in a world based on the theories and rules of calculus. Learners must make their way through the game by solving math puzzles to advance and save the planet. This motivates students by adding visual engagement and allows learners to work at their own pace. All of the obstacles can be tried over and over until the challenge is mastered with instant feedback, which creates a judgment-free experimental style of learning. Students can use the storyline to connect with their classmates about how they're progressing and give them a feeling of working towards the same goal. This is a great example of how gamification can take an extremely difficult subject like calculus and place it in a user-friendly learning situation that I only wish I had in high school. Remember, if you keep good teaching theory in mind when using gamification, your students will see your lessons as fun motivation to keep learning.